fun one. Throwing the ball. Just like lots of other actions, a striker can move up to 5 before throwing the ball. A jack can move up to 1 before throwing the ball as part of one action. A guard obviously can't throw the ball because he can't pick it up in the first place. There are 3 targets that you can throw the ball at. You can throw it at teammates, you can throw it at opponents, and you can throw it into the strike hex when you're standing in the strike zones. Now, throwing is slightly different to all the other tests. A lot of the tests start off on 3 dice. A throw doesn't necessarily start on that many. It depends how far away you are from your target. If you are 1 to 3 hexes away, like so, then you start with 3 dice. If you are 4 to 6 hexes away, you start with 2 dice. If you are 7 to 9 hexes away, you start with 1 dice. So that's quite a difficult throw. If you are a striker, you gain a dice, because they're very good with the ball. And, along with other tests, if you have enemy players threatening you, you'll lose a dice. In this case, you'd be put down to 0. If he's facing the wrong way, there you are to 1 again. It's only players who are actually threatening you. So, for simplicity's sake, we're going to assume that this striker is 9 hexes away, throwing the ball to him. Now, this would be 1 dice, because he's a striker, he's up to 2. Now, throwing the ball is a skill test, and the human striker has a skill of 4+, so let's see what happens. He has 1 so far, and it's only 1. That means the throw is a success, and the ball sails through the air towards this fellow here. Now, he hasn't caught it yet. This is how catching works. Because there was only 1 success in the throw attempt, this guy is only going to get 1 dice to attempt the catch. Had this guy succeeded with both of the dice, that would be 2. If he was much closer and succeeded with more dice, he would be able to catch it with even more. But back to the scenario that we're doing right here, he only had 1 success, so that's 1 dice. However, this guy is a striker, so, as usual for ball-related activities, strikers get an extra dice. So, he's going to try and catch it. Now again, if you're in the threat hex of opposing players when catching the ball, you're going to lose some dice, up to a maximum of 2. But in this case, there's no players touching him, so he just gets the 1 dice for the successful throw, 1 dice for being a striker. It's a skill test, 4+, let's see what happens. And he has doubled. We don't even need to roll that one again, because doubling is the best you can do with a catch. And that means he has the ball, and now he gets a free action from it, because he doubled. Catching the ball is not an action in itself, it's just part of the throw, so you won't lose an action token for catching the ball. So you can see, in a team with a lot of strikers in it, if you pass the ball around a lot, then you have a chance to gain a lot of free actions like that. If he only had 1 success, he would just catch the ball, and that would be it. He would have to use an action if he wanted to do anything else. It's also important to note that if you're trying to catch the ball, you must be able to see the player throwing the ball to you. If this striker was facing that way, and the ball was thrown to him, it would just bounce off his back and fly away. So you can't do that. You can't throw the ball to a teammate who is unable to catch it. He must be facing the right way. In this case he was, and with his free action, he is going to turn around, which doesn't cost you anything, and he's going to try and shoot. So this brings us nicely into throwing a strike. This works in a similar manner to throwing to a teammate. You can see that 1, 2, 3, the easy throws are from within there. This one is 4 hexes away from the target, so that is going to cost you a dice for distance. That's why you get an extra point for standing there, because it's more difficult. In this case, he's going to start his throw attempt with 3 dice. He is a striker, so he's going to get another one. He didn't move this action. If he did, he would have lost a dice. For instance, if he'd caught the ball here, or here, or here, and then moved here, and then shot as part of the same action, he would have lost a dice. He didn't do that, so he's still on 4. Now, because he's shooting from the difficult spot of the strike zone, he's going to lose a dice for distance. Also, when throwing the ball into the strike hex, it's so small that you're going to lose a dice. It's not like throwing it to a teammate. It is a very small target, so that takes a dice away from you. And as usual, if you're in a player's threat zone, those 3 hexes in front of him, you would lose another dice. In this case, there's nobody there, so this striker has 2 dice to try and score with. It's a skill test again, which is 4+. He only needs 1 success to score. Let's see if he can do it. Yep, he has successfully scored, which means the ball will go into there, and then it will fire back into play from one of these sides. If a catch attempt fails, then you scatter the ball from the catcher's hex. So in this case, the throw was from here, he threw it to him, and let's just say he rolled nothing but 1s, he fails the catch, so we'll scatter it from this guy here. Now let's move on to throwing the ball at your opponent, which is typically done to injure them. The amount of dice you get for throwing the ball at your opponent is worked out exactly the same way, based on how far away you are. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hexes away, which is the furthest distance, so he's only going to get 1 dice. But he's still a striker, so he's going to get another one. If the ball is being thrown at you from within your front arc, like this is here, I'm going to be throwing it at this orc guard, then he can attempt to dodge. So we have 2 dice for the throw, and we have a dodge, which is a speed test on 3 dice. Now, we're going to see how many 4+s he can get for this skill test of throwing the ball. Oh, he's got 2 already. Let's see if he can get any more out of these 6s. 1 more. So that is 3 successes. The orc has a speed of 4+, and that's what you need for dodging. He's got 1 so far. 2. He'll be pushed back into one of the 3 hexes directly away from him. So he's going to push him back there, and he will face the hex that he just vacated. The ball will then scatter from this point. Now, if the orc guard had only 1 success, or if he was facing the wrong way to begin with, so he would be considered as having 0 successes automatically, then he would be doubled. So, it would work exactly the same way as when you injure someone from a slam. They're knocked down, choose where to push them over, and then they would have to take their armor checks against whatever the difference was between the 2 players. In this case there was 3, and we'll just assume he was facing the wrong way, so he didn't get any dodges. So that would be 3 that the corporation won by. So he's a guard, so he gets 4 for his armor test. So let's see what he does. He needs 4+. And he got 3 already without even rolling the extra 6, so he's going to be fine. Otherwise, he could have been injured. It's important to keep in mind that throwing the ball at your opponent will end your turn. because it is considered losing the ball. Now, if he's knocked over by the ball, again, it's just going to scatter from that point. If the orc had successfully managed to dodge, then the ball would just bounce off him harmlessly and scatter away. If he had successfully doubled his opponent with his dodge attempt, then he would be free to move 1 hex away from the thrower of the ball, and then the ball would scatter. Also important to note, again, as with most other things, if you're in an opponent's threat hex, when you're trying to dodge a thrown ball, then you're going to lose a dice.